Is Cam Caminiti that one Atlanta Braves prospect you just cannot trade, or would you be willing to move him for that young future shortstop? We'll talk about that on today's episode of Locked On Braves, so let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Jake Mastroianni. You can follow me on social media at Shortstop Ball. Check out the podcast there at LockedOn_Braves on X and Locked On Braves on Instagram. If you're new and you're watching this on YouTube, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button as we're approaching 15,000 subscribers. Some people think we can get there by the end of the year. I don't know, but certainly would love to find out. You can help us out as well. Just hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment down below so others can find us on YouTube. And on the audio side, you can help out too. Just leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Thanks so much for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. And big shout out to my everydayers out there continuing to come back and live in the misery of the 2025 Atlanta Braves. In this episode, it's going to be more prospect focused. We will talk about Spencer Strider's outing later in the podcast and the Braves game on a Monday night. But first two segments, we're really going to focus on the prospects, and we're going to talk a lot about Cam Caminiti. Is he the one prospect that you just absolutely cannot trade? I've talked a lot about how I don't think there's anybody in this system that I wouldn't trade in the right deal, but is Cam Caminiti the one that you just cannot give up? We'll answer that and also get to some of your comments on that question as well. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. So recently I've said on several different platforms and places that there isn't anybody in this system, in this farm system for the Atlanta Braves, that I wouldn't trade in the right deal. Now, that being said, guys like Cam Caminiti, J.R. Ritchie, others that I really like, Diego Torrens, it's not that I think they're awful and I want to trade them. That's not what I'm trying to portray here. It's just the fact that I don't see any superstars. I don't see any Cy Young All-Star MVP type of players in this farm system right now. And maybe I'm wrong on that. I just don't see anybody like that right now. And so I'd be willing to trade anybody in this system, but I'm not just giving these prospects away. If I were to trade a J.R. Ritchie, who I'm really high on, I need to get a significant piece back. I'm only trading those top players if I'm getting that young future shortstop, which we'll talk about in a second. But the more I hear about Cam Caminiti, the more I watch Cam Caminiti, and I haven't been able to do a full video breakdown of him yet, just for future recording, scheduling purposes for those maybe who are new to the podcast. Once the offseason officially begins, these weekly minor league episodes, I will do a video breakdown where I'll be watching the player, not on stream or not on the podcast, but I will watch video on that player all week, and then I will break that down and kind of give my feedback, culminating, in usually late January, early February, my top 10 prospect list. So just, prepare as the offseason officially begins. I'll be doing a breakdown on 2 prospects every week, and Cam Caminiti is definitely going to be at the top of that list. But even just right now, I'm hearing all over the places about Cam Caminiti and how amazing this guy is. So I can't wait to break him down a little bit more and get into the tape and watch him. I just don't have the opportunity to do that as much during the season. And it's kind of led to this question: is he untouchable right now? And Cam Caminiti, just to remind you, 24th overall pick in 2024, just like another pitcher who is excelling right now at the big league level, Hurston Waldrop. He fell to the 24th overall pick. Nobody really thinking he would get there. Waldrop, great stuff coming out of college. There were the command issues, and Cam Caminiti, considered by many to be the best high school pitcher in his class, fell to the Braves at 24. So really in the back-to-back drafts there, they lucked up and got a really good pitcher at 24th overall. And the left-hander who just turned 19 in August, Caminiti, coming off a fantastic first year of professional baseball. Overall, a 3.09 ERA, 1.26 WHIP is not fantastic. 229 average again, 70 innings, 90 strikeouts is fantastic. But at Augusta, 13 starts, 2.08 ERA, 1.22 WHIP. Again, that WHIP, I'd love to see that under 2, especially at the lower level. 56 and a third innings at Augusta, 26 walks, that's big reason why the whip is high as it is. 75 strikeouts, just a 210 batting average. So not giving up a lot of hits, but giving up good number of walks. Not an alarming number, a 4.15 walk per nine at Augusta. Again, that's not alarming, but you would love to see that closer to 3, but nearly a 12 K per nine. That is fantastic. He gave up 11 earned runs in 4 FCL starts while he was shaking off the rust, dealing with an injury, coming back. And then he only gave up 13 earned runs across 13 starts at single A Augusta. So just very impressive work from Cam Caminiti. You look at MLB Pipeline, they currently have him rated as the top prospect in the system ahead of J.R. Ritchie and Tate Saldassine. Pretty much every farm system that you're ranking that you're going to see for the Braves is going to have Cam Caminiti at the top. They have him with a 2028 ETA. With the Braves' aggressiveness, it wouldn't shock me if we see him in 2027, but I think that would be the earliest next year. If I had to guess right now, he would probably start next year at Rome. And with a good showing in the first half, I mean, it wouldn't be crazy to see him get the bump up to Double-A, but I doubt they're going to push him that much with him only throwing, 70 innings this year. Probably want to push him to around 100, 110 next year. And then in 2027, really start to take the training wheels off a little bit. So again, I think it'll probably be 2027 at the earliest, 2028 before we probably see him hopefully established at the big league level. But with pitchers, same thing we saw with J.R. Ritchie and Owen Murphy, honestly. A couple of high school prospects that the Braves took early in the draft. They were exploding on the scene, having big years, and then they got hurt and were out for a year and a half and got delayed. It happens. You never know. MLB Pipeline also has Cam Caminiti as the 9th best overall left-handed pitching prospect, and he's the only Braves prospect they currently have in the top 100, coming in at 77, which, again, with just about every other evaluator out there that I know that covers the Braves, so guys that I trust a lot more than I do the national media, at least in terms of how Cam Caminiti looks, and a lot of the guys that I follow out there for fantasy baseball too that go deep into the dynasty leagues, they seem to be very high on Cam Caminiti and think there's no way he's not a top 50 prospect. So there's a lot of heat, good talk on Cam Caminiti going into the offseason. Now, you look at his repertoire, it's a fastball, 93, 95 miles per hour, and can get a few ticks higher. Also features a sweeper, a curve, and a changeup. One thing I noticed in the highlights of Caminiti that he was able to do pretty consistently, at least in these strikeout highlight videos that I was watching, is front door that sweeper to lefties. Which is really, really tough. You're talking about a guy who's a left-handed pitcher facing a lefty, and you're front dooring a sweeper, which means the ball is basically starting behind the lefty and it's finishing on the inside corner. That is really tough. Now, it's dangerous because that leaks over the middle of the plate, and that's right into a left-handed hitter's happy zone. But he seems to do a really good job of that, or when he has, it's very devastating pitch. The Braves also had him primarily focusing on the fastball and the sweeper this year to work on those pitches. They do that sometimes with certain pitchers just to have them, focus on a pitch or two. But it goes to show, and he himself has said that his curveball is his best pitch, and they pretty much took that away from him. And he still was able to have the season that he had. So that's very, very impressive. And anybody, like I said, in the industry that talks about Cam just absolutely raves about him. So is he untouchable? Would you trade him? And I think the question specifically for me is, would you trade him for a young future shortstop? Take Bobby Witt out of the equation and just answer these questions for me. Would you trade him for Gunnar Henderson? I don't think the Orioles would do that either. I think he's probably as untouchable as Bobby Witt is, but maybe. Would you trade him for Mason Wynn, hoping that, if Mason Wynn's not playing hurt, maybe he can hit a little bit better than he did this year. The defense is there. Would you trade him for Zach Neto? That's probably the most realistic. Not that I think the Angels are going to trade Neto, but I think we're finally getting to a deal where, okay, that makes some sense. Prospect-wise, would you trade him for Colt Emerson? The Brewers have 2 shortstop prospects, and Jesus Made and Luis Pena. Could you trade for either one of them? Would you do that? That is the question. Would you trade Cam Caminiti if you knew it was going to get you a young, stud, controllable shortstop? That's what I want to find out from you, and that's why I asked you. And some of you responded. I'm going to get to some of your responses right here because some of you just said completely no. Lindsey Crosby of Locked On Braves Postcast says, I've got probably 5 shortstop right now that I'd drive Caminiti to the airport myself to acquire: Colt Emerson, Kevin McGonigal, Connor Griffin, J.J. Weatherholt, Aiden Miller. Yeah, I left out McGonigal and Griffin just because I don't think those are realistic, because they're better prospects. Emerson's one that I mentioned. Weatherholt, I don't think is a shortstop myself. Adam Moore says, not a chance for another prospect. We just drafted a handful and we'll probably grab another in July. Too much value as a possible ace. And that's what I see most. Dave Bessie saying, no, there are a few Braves pitching prospects that I consider untouchable. Caminiti, Murphy, and Richie are in that group. Craig said they'll probably be able to get one with their high draft pick next year. That's true. They might not be an issue next year, but for right now, Double A says 100% a young shortstop is our biggest need, but him alone won't bring us that shortstop. I would love to have J.J. Weatherholt. Again, I just don't personally think J.J. Weatherholt's going to stick at shortstop, but good prospect. Striper's report says no. We have Alex Lodis and Tate Southacene. Okay, I'm not as high on those guys being eventual shortstops, and I'm looking for something that's a little bit closer. I mean, Southacene might be never really that high on Lodis in the draft, and so again, a brief sample size that we've seen, but not a great first showing professionally for a college hitter, in my opinion. MLB as a healthy spot says, if the young shortstop was already a proven player and under team control for 4+ years, then sure, not sure a player like that currently exists though. And that's a good point. There aren't many like that. Like I said, outside of maybe a Zach Neto, there's not really many like that fit. Smokey Joe said, not if he continues to perform as a starter. You can never have enough starting pitching. And that's a good point too, is that it's really hard to find good starting pitching. But you got to have plenty around, and Cam Caminiti, certainly part of that. I also wanted to go back and give credit, Gaurav on Twitter, GVEDAK, who's does a great job following Braves prospects. Hopefully I'm going to get on here and be able to say his name at some point. But if you don't follow him on social media, make sure that you do. He's the one that gave the tip about Cam Caminiti only featuring 2 pitches this year, and then really making him focus on the fastball sweeper, and also the fact that Caminiti said that he thinks his curveball is his best pitch. So again, a lot of the information that I got on him today comes from Gaurav. Hopefully I'm saying that right. But again, great follow on social media. Great job following Braves prospects. So go give him a follow, and I'm hopefully going to have him on the podcast this offseason talk Braves prospects. And we'll do some more of that next, as we will, we're getting close to the end of the prospect or the minor league season here, but we had last week for Columbus, 1 week left here for Gwinnett. We'll talk about those who stood out at those levels here next week, and also who performed the best at Rome and Augusta this season. We'll get into all that here next. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. Whether you're at work, out with friends, or even just getting ready in the morning, Nutrafol gives you more confidence in your daily routine. And you can feel good about it, knowing Nutrafol is an NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Locked On MLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. I told you about it yesterday. My great experience that I had at Truist. I used Game Time to get there. The crowd, the energy, the chance to see your team in person, the chance to spend time with friends and family and your kids and see them get a foul ball. It's the greatest thing ever. But actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. You got queues, login screens, surprise fees. It takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives you the advantage. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. And the app makes it super simple. You can see the exact view from your seat before buying. Fees are included. Again, you know your total up front, and I love the zone deals. Just pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. Like I said, went to the game on last Friday. I waited till the last minute, used Game Time, got some great seats down in the section 40 there for a really good price. You can do it too as the Braves get ready for their last homestand of the season. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Thank you, as always. Make Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. Go check out Locked On MLB for your second listen of the day. Slowly getting caught up on all the action happening around Major League Baseball and the guys from MLB Game Night. Just a couple more weeks, and I'm sure they're going to go into the postseason as well, but giving you the biggest highlights from each and every night. Well, we're almost done giving you highlights from the minor league level as that season's coming to a close. This is the last week for minor league baseball, at least a regular season. And at Gwinnett last week, Connor Capel, 6 for 17, 3 walks, 3 stolen bases. David McCabe, 5 for 20 with a double, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. Jonathan Orneas, 5 for 21 with a triple, no walks, and 8 strikeouts. Jesus Bastidas, 4 for 19 with a home run, 7 walks, and a stolen base. And I just thought I'd mention Jared Kelenic because he has just 12 at-bats this month. Don't know if that's injury-related or just he's bad-related, but he doesn't have a hit since August 23rd. Again, it's a bad spot on AA's resume, certainly, and I just wonder what they're going to do with Jared Kelenic at this point. Pitching on the pitching side for Gwinnett, Giancarlo Slar made 2 starts last week. Both of them not great. Went on September 9th, went 4 innings, 3 hits, 6 walks, 2 hit batters, 6 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, and then on September 14th, 2 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 4 earned, and 4 strikeouts. J.R. Ritchie, 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 walks, 3 earned, 7 strikeouts. Jose Suarez, 5 innings, 7 hits, 2 walks, 3 earned, and 7 strikeouts. And Lucas Braun, another good outing at AAA, 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned, 4 strikeouts. Roldy Munoz, no walks and 4 strikeouts in 2 1/3 innings. Blake Burkhalter, 2 innings, no hits, 1 walk, no earned, 2 strikeouts. And Hayden Harris, 2 innings, no hits, 2 walks, 1 hit batter, no earned, and 2 strikeouts. And then down at Columbus, their season is over. Patrick Klowiecki, 7 for 23 with a home run, a walk, 5 stolen bases. Good year for Klowiecki. Not the last time we're going to say his name today. John Hill got moved up to Double-A. Just 4 for 23, but 2 walks and 4 stolen bases. Not a great week offensively for Columbus. Say that a lot. It's a tough league to hit in. Had a couple of weeks there where it looked like the bats were coming around for Columbus after some promotions, but hasn't been great here lately. And this was not the best week. Not the best week for Drew Hackenberg either. 7 2/3 innings over 2 starts, 10 hits, 7 walks, 7 earned runs. Did strike out 10 batters. It had been a rough year for Drew Hackenberg. Brett Sears, 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, 2 earned, but 8 strikeouts. Ian Mejia, 5 2/3 innings. He gave up 10 hits, 2 walks, but just 4 earned with 7 strikeouts. Ryan Barassa, 3 2/3, no hits, 1 walk, no earned, 6 strikeouts. He's a name for the bullpen that's really been rising up this year. Ian Anderson, remember that guy? He's a Double-A right now and had a really good start. 5 2/3 innings, 4 hits, just 1 walk, 1 earned run, and 5 strikeouts. Blaine Abetta, 3 innings, 2 hits, no walks, 2 earned, 4 strikeouts. And Landon Harper, 6 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned, 4 strikeouts. I mentioned it before, but Landon Harper and Ian Mejia going to have some difficult decisions with both of those guys this offseason as they are Rule 5 eligible. I don't think anybody's going to lose sleep about one of them getting taken if they were to, but it is nice depth in the system, and they've had some pretty good years. Now, I want to look at the leaders at both Rome and Augusta, starting with Rome, obviously, where Patrick Klowiecki, I just said, he led Rome with 87 hits this year. Batting average leader with at least 200 at-bats at Rome was Will Verdong at 279. Isaiah Drake hit 303 and just 122 at-bats, though. Home run leader, Lisandro Espinosa, just 10 home runs, the only player with double-digit home runs. And then Klowiecki, 60 stolen bases. We talked about how much the Braves have struggled with speed and stolen bases at the big league level, but they got some minor leaguers here that racked out the stolen base numbers. On the pitching side at Rome, ERA leader was Jacob Kroger, 2.03 ERA and 62 innings. This was based on a minimum of 50 innings pitched. Garrett Bauman, 3.40 ERA and 113 and 2/3 innings. And then Herrick Hernandez, 3.57 and 103.1 innings pitched. Really excited. I think I'm going to have to break down some film on Jacob Kroger. I mean, he's been on this list, seems like every week this year. There's one of a couple names. Ross is another one that stuck out to me that I just feel like it's been on my countdown every single week. Whip leader was Kroger, 0.97. Strikeout leader was Herrick Hernandez at 127, but just an 8.55 K per nine. I think I have this backwards. Hernandez had 127 strikeouts with an 11.06 K per nine, while Ballman had 108 strikeouts at 8.55 K per nine. Ryan Barraza, 62 strikeouts in 42 and 2/3 innings, a 13.08 K per nine. So like I said, he's becoming a real name to watch. See if they leave him in the bullpen. Already feels like they're trying to stretch him out a little bit. At Augusta, the hits leader was Owen Carey with 121, followed by John Hill at 103. And then batting average leaders, Isaiah Drake at 260, Hill at 258, Carey also at 258, and then Hartman at 248. Those four guys in particular made Augusta a really interesting offense to watch this year and giving you some hope about the bats in the system. Maybe they all don't pan out, but you're at least seeing some promising bats come up through the system right now in those four guys. Home run leader, though, Mason Guerra at 9. Hill had 7. And then stolen base leaders, you had Colby Jones with 54, Hill with 50, Hartman with 44, Drake with 35, and Carey with 17. Although Carey got caught stealing 10 times, Drake 9 times. Hartman just 5 times, had one of the better ratios. Gill got caught stealing 14 times, and Colby Jones 10 times. So while there were a lot of stolen bases in there, there's also a good number of caught stealing. So that kind of trend of the Braves, struggling to steal bases while they were successful quite a lot. There were also a lot of failed attempts in there, too. On the pitching side at Augusta, Cam Caminiti led the way with a 2.08 ERA and 56 and a third innings. David Rodriguez, a name I don't remember talking about a lot, but looking at his end-of-season numbers, had a really good year, 2.34 ERA. Jeremy Reyes had a 2.71, Ethan Bagwell a 2.88. And then on the whip leaders, Rodriguez 0.90, Bagwell 0.98. Samuel Mejia, 1.11 whip and 67 and a third innings. And then strikeout leaders, you had Owen Hackman with 96, but a 9.06 K per nine. Raven Antonio, who had a really hot stretch earlier in the year, finished with 95 strikeouts, but a 9.16 K per nine. Reyes, a 9.9 K per nine. Mejia, 10.29. Caminiti, 11.98. And Kroger, 12.41 K per nine. So those were some of your standouts and leaders at Rome and Augusta. We'll do the same for Columbus next week, and then Gwinnett the week after that as we wrap up the minor league season. All right, next we'll get into the game from Monday night. Spencer Strider, another good start. Matt Olson remains incredibly hot. And we'll talk about the names heading to the Arizona Fall League. Some interesting names on there, including Nacho Alvarez. We'll talk about that here next. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel allows you to bet the way you like with player props, building same-game parlays, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. Plus, you got the MLB season coming to an end, a last chance to get in on those season awards. Will Drake Baldwin take home the NL Rookie of the Year? What do you think about the postseason? Who's your favorite to win the World Series this year? You can see all of those odds there at FanDuel.com. Also, make sure you visit FanDuel.com/playsafe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way you play. So, are you ready? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. So a little bit of interesting news last week as the Braves announced who they're sending to the Arizona Fall League, which there will be the Glendale Desert Dogs. If you're out in Arizona, like I know Doc's Cards is, probably going to head over to some of these games maybe. Nacho Alvarez going. Surprised me a little bit. I mean, it makes sense in the fact that he missed a lot of the early, missed most of spring training and then a good portion of the season early on while he was injured. But he's just had so much experience at the MLB level now and so many, playing deep into the season. I assume he's going to be there for the rest of the year. I was a little surprised that they're sending him to Arizona, but just a way to get him some more work in. Like I've said at this point, I think Nacho's, I don't want to say his ceiling. He's still just 22 years old, but he feels like a super utility type of guy that, you can plug in for a little while for an injury. The power has never really come for him to be a significant type of bat, but somebody that as he grows up, I think can be a probably pretty solid 250, 260 type of hitter. Patrick Loaiza, we talked a lot about him, the good year that he's going to get a chance in the Arizona Fall League. So that's going to be fun to watch. Jim Jarvis, who they got at the trade deadline, they're going to send him over to the Arizona Fall League. Those are all your position players, though. Nacho, Patrick, and Jim Jarvis. On the pitching side, Drew Hackenberg, I did mention him too. It's been an awful year for him. He missed a lot of time due to injury, trying to work his way back, and it hasn't gone well at all. So a chance for him to get a few more innings under his belt and hopefully end on a good note. Luke Sennard, a really promising young prospect. And then Jacob Kroger, the guy I talked about, the guy that's been on my minor league recaps almost every week this season. I'm really excited to see what he can do in the AFL. LJ McDonough and Corey Wall also going, but definitely Nacho and Kawhi, excited to see what they can do. Hackenberg, just to get him on track, and then Sennard and Kroger, who look like some promising pitching prospects in the system. Can't wait to see what those guys can do over there in the Arizona Fall League. Now, on Monday night, Spencer Strider, another good outing for him, and another outing that we've seen him kind of shy away from the fastball a little bit more than we're used to seeing. It did end up at 42% for part of the game, or the mid part of the game. It was actually under 40% usage for that four-seam fastball. You saw him max out at 97 miles per hour, but still sitting around that 95.5. But throwing a lot more sliders, 25 sliders, 23 curveballs. I mean, almost as many curveballs as sliders for Spencer Strider. I don't know that I ever would have thought that would be a thing. And 15 whiffs in the game, 5 on 7 swings against that curveball, 6 of 10 on the slider, a 32% CSW percentage. Now it's the Nationals. I get all of that, but it feels like we're seeing a change in Spencer Strider and how he is going about it. And CJ talked about it on the broadcast that, Spencer said, I don't have that big fastball right now. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, and he's got to find other ways to get it done. And one way to do that seems to be to lean on those other pitches. If that fastball never comes back, he can still be a really good pitcher. I've always said that, is that if the fastball velo is not there, there's still enough for Spencer Strider to be a good pitcher. Maybe he's not a dominant pitcher. Maybe he's not a strikeout artist like he was with that big velocity, but he can still be a really good pitcher. And I think at the end of this season, that's what Spencer Strider's starting to figure out, is that there are other ways that I can get this done, that I can incorporate more pitches and be more successful. And I think that's what the end of this season is about for Spencer Strider, is knowing that, okay, if that heater doesn't come back, I can still be a really good pitcher and I can still be effective. It's more about just trusting this curveball, which again was a pitch you really just started to throw a little bit before the injury. And it's just becoming more comfortable with that. And we're seeing him do that right here. We saw him do it on Monday night against the Nationals. So a really, really good performance from him, going 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned, 6 strikeouts, allowed 1 run on the home run, 96 pitches, 7 hard hit balls in this one, but just overall a really good performance from him. And then Matt Olson, my word, just absolutely murdering the baseball right now. He might get to 30 and 100 once again. If not, it's going to be really, really close. He's right up there with the doubles leaders. I almost said it on the podcast the other day, and then somebody said it in the comments section, and I said I didn't want to ruffle any feathers, but he's having a Freddie Freeman type season. I mean, he's hitting almost 280. He's near the lead in doubles. It's more 20 to 30-ish home runs. He's, shortening. It's still, the strikeout 24%. I mean, would like to see that come down, but taking his walks, the on base is there. We've seen him spray the ball a little bit more. He's kind of turning into Freddie Freeman. It's just kind of funny how that's working out. I said it the other day. It's like he's the one that's benefited the most from this Tim Hires hire and the effect that he's had, and just being kind of a more well-rounded hitter. And look, I know the Braves got him because they wanted him to be a 30, 40 home run hitter guy, but I mean, he's doing that now, hitting 280, and still seeing some of the power come here late in the season. So it's been a big year for Matt Olson, and it could all just be that every other year thing too. I mean, he's kind of got that going, although I didn't think 2024 was as bad as many people made it out to seem like. It still was almost another 30 and 100 season like he's approaching right now, except this year, he is hitting for more average, which is nice to see, and doing some of those little things. So big year for Matt Olson, big game for Matt Olson. We also see Drake Baldwin with a couple of hits and RBIs. That's good to see him get going again. 2 hard hit balls. So that's great for Drake Baldwin. Braves need him to have a strong start. Like I said, hopefully win that Rookie of the Year award. All right, that will do it for this episode. We'll have a double header on Tuesday. We know Chris Sale's pitching in one of those games. Me and Lindsay will be back in the postcast for that one, breaking out everything happening in both of those games. Make sure you subscribe here on YouTube. And make sure you subscribe on audio wherever you get your podcast. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast. And we will talk to you next time.